What's going on everyone, I'm Alex, and today I'm making a quick comparison between the Edge Plus and the Nexus 6P. Both devices are quite beautiful in their own unique way, but is there one that's better than the other one, or does it just matter what you really like? The Edge Plus is made of glass on the back and the front, and the frame is made of aluminium. It does look exceptionally good. Unfortunately, the back shows all the fingerprints, so every time you touch this phone there is a fingerprint on the back. The Nexus is made of glass and aluminium, so it does look quite good as well. Maybe not as good as the Edge Plus, but it really depends on everyone's liking. Out of the two, the Nexus is heavier with 178 grams, while the Edge has only 153 grams. The Edge is also thinner at 6.9 mm, while the Nexus has 7.3. The Nexus is also using USB-C, while the Samsung is using a micro USB port. Both these devices have 5.7-inch screens and Quad HD. They do look unbelievably amazing. However, I do find the screen on the Samsung it's brighter and the colors are more vibrant than on the Nexus. That doesn't mean that the Nexus has a bad screen, it just means that the colors on the Samsung are more saturated, and it depends on personal taste and what you really like. How about the sound on these devices, as in the speakers? So I have the volumes turned up at maximum for both devices. I'm gonna play this exact same song on this one first and then on that one, so you can have an opinion and figure out which one you'd like best. And the Nexus is the next one. Personally, I prefer the Nexus's front-facing speakers. You get a better experience when you're watching videos and playing any games. But again, this depends on anyone's taste. On the Geekbench 3 test, the Samsung scores better than the Nexus, and they both have octa-core processor. The difference is that the processor are from different manufacturers. Also, the Samsung has 4 gigs of RAM versus 3 gigs of RAM on the Nexus. The Nexus is running Android 6.01, while the Samsung is running Android 5.1.1. Gaming on both devices works excellent, and even though the Samsung is supposed to be slightly faster than the Nexus, I didn't find the Nexus slowing down for any game at all. The gaming experience on the Nexus is slightly better just because of the speakers being in front of you. So on the Samsung you can easily cover the speaker with your hand, but that's not the case with the Nexus. So the Nexus I find slightly better for gaming just because of that. I want to touch a bit on battery life. The Nexus has a 3450 mAh battery inside, and this one has a 3000 mAh battery. I used both for, well, I used the Nexus for like 4 or 5 months, and this one for a few days, like 4 or 5 days now. So even though this has a smaller battery, it tends to last like the entire day. Like at the end of the day I have like 3-4% left. The Nexus is about the same, so even though this has a bigger battery, the battery life is kind of the same on both devices, but it really depends how you use the screen, if the screen is like a maximum or stuff like that, if you use the GPS, and it's a whole bunch of factors that have to do with this. Now I'm just gonna do a test so I can show you how fast apps open on both devices. So I've closed all the apps from the background on both devices, and I'll start the Play Store, for example. they're both on the same Wi-Fi network. Next, let's do G+. And I'm gonna do Facebook next. So in about the same time. I'm also gonna open Chrome on both devices. That didn't work out good. So they do open in about the same time, if you ask me. Now talking about the cameras, the Nexus has a 12 megapixel sensor and the Samsung has a 16 megapixel sensor. Compared to previous Nexus devices, well, this one is an improvement. But Samsung's phones always took good pictures, I mean the last few years anyways. So I do find the camera on the Samsung phone much better than the camera on the Nexus. That's probably gonna get some people upset. However, I do find the camera on the Samsung much better than the one on the Nexus. Next I'm gonna add some pictures. I'm gonna take a couple of pictures taking the exact same lighting, the exact same spot, and you can have an idea which one it's better. The first picture that you're looking at, it's coming from the Samsung device, and the second picture that you're looking at, it's coming from the Nexus phone. Now I'm gonna let you decide which one is better. And again, the first picture is gonna come from the Samsung device, and the second one will be from a Nexus camera. So even though the camera on the Nexus is an improvement over other Nexus devices, I do believe that Samsung has a better camera in this particular test. Now, which one is better, the Nexus 6P or the Samsung S6 Edge Plus? Well, it really depends what you like. The Samsung, it's more expensive. It comes with some added features that the Nexus doesn't have, but you get a Nexus device if you want timely updates. And that's not the case with the Samsung. I mean, the Samsung is still running Android 5.1, and that was released a long time ago. So it really depends what you prefer and what's more on your style, because this is a different style device than that one. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.